Welcome to Smutty Scriptures, the podcast where three best friends gather together to explore the holy text of fantasy romance novels. I'm Head Priest Blue Cromwell, and I am joined by my sisters in sin, Cuddlefish and Purple Space Cat, to tell you all about our thoughts on this episode's sacred text. But before we dive into Credence from Penelope Douglas, which we have read the entire book, which everyone's very happy about, I did want to take a minute to tell you guys about our Patreon. We are, actually, by the time this episode is posted, it will be live for quite a bit, and the first episode should be out. We are adding extra episodes, some fun behind-the-scenes stuff, discounts to the Etsy store. Just a bunch of fun that you can find.
Not to mention the fact that we have a whole Discord community now, which is kick-ass.
You want to watch us live, argue, and have a good time?
We don't do that.
You could be a part of all that fun and magic. So our first extra episode, which will be out by the time this episode is posted, will be A Touch of Darkness. So yeah, before we get into Credence, just wanted to make sure we said that, because I know we have a lot of thoughts on Credence. So without further ado, general impressions, folks? Yep, I'm keeping that silence in.
Rock, paper, scissors. Who goes first?
Okay, I love to read.
Yeah, okay, good start.
And I love to read things that are dark. And I like to read things that have trigger warnings a mile long.
Mm-hmm.
And I am totally fine with consensual non-consent. I'm totally fine with, kidnapping and what's a little murder,
As a treat.
But I think I have found some tropes I'm not a fan of in this book. And
no.
Quasi Incestuousness.
Incestuousness.
Yeah, that's the title.
It's giving rumor, and it is bothersome to me on a spiritual level.
Is it a spiritual level though, or is it
an emotional one?
Every level that Penelope Douglas could affect us.
I feel when I was reading this, I embodied the kombucha girl meme.
Oh, yeah.
Where she was like, oh, no, maybe, well, no, maybe, okay, yeah, a little bit. No, not at all. Penelope, I don't know what you're doing to me. I have so many thoughts.
So many.
That's just so many, but that's just the overview for me.
Yeah.
Purple, what you got? Blue? Anybody?
I had a time with it. I will say, when you initially brought up this as your pick, Purple, because you had shared a little bit about this book before with us,
You're welcome.
A little concerned. I was, in some ways, you said that I would forget about the fact that they're not related very quickly.
Did I say that?
Yes. And I would happen to say, you are kind of right, but the characters refused for me to get over it. Every fucking scene, because I was like, okay, you know what? This is this fantasy, whatever. They're not actually related. I'm like, okay, all right. There's some weird problematic age thing. Fine. All right. I'm here for it. I'm still okay, you know what? There is some actual writing in this book that I enjoy some. So I was willing to fight through it. I was like, okay. And then every scene to be like, Uncle Jake, bro, shut the, bro. Oh my God, dude. The characters would not let me forget that they are at least related in that way. I hated so much. That was just a constant thing.
When she and he were in the moment and she was like,
hold on, which he?
Jake.
Well, when she was moaning Uncle Jake, I was like, oh no.
Yeah. That's a lot of separating text and reality it was a lot. So I think you were right. I think I did forget about it, but then the characters would not. And I was like, okay, I guess this is happening. But I will say now, I'm just to clarify, I'm not going to say this is a book that I like. However, I gave you a lot of shit for this because I was like, this book is great. Everything you told me so far, I don't know. And it was better than I thought it was. So I just wanted to publicly admit that I was wrong. I was wrong. It was better than I thought, and I should have gave you a little bit more trust. However,
Thank you.
Penelope Douglas, how dare you? Like, there's a really good story, I feel like, just hidden in this story, and the author refuses to tell me that one instead. And I'm getting a little frustrated. But with all of that, heavy opinions, how are you feeling? You like it? Good time?
So I feel that this was a really risky pick for me because I was thinking to myself, I wonder if this is going to be the book where they take away my privilege of picking.
No, we would never do that
No. We just look at the track record. It's slowly going downhill. But I'm the chaos pick, so leave me alone. Now, in all seriousness, though, about the book itself, I like this book. However, I look at Credence. This is two different books in the same book.
Okay. Do you kind of agree with me where there's like a good story hidden in this book? Okay.
Yes. I believe there is a good story in this book. And then I also believe that while Penelope was writing it, she must have been like, oh my God, here's the good story, but nobody's going to read it. So I have to make it controversial. So let's sprinkle in this other stuff. And I was like, yeah, but no, but yeah. Towards the end, we all know I have problems with finishing things.
Sure.
However, I stopped right before the end of this book twice. Not because of I didn't want to end it, but because I was just like, what? What? But like the really good story part, though.
It's like hidden in there. You gotta dig for it.
It's so good. And the fact that it's on the mountain, which is my favorite setting, I was reading it and I was like, oh my God, I don't care about the people. I just want to read about the snow.
The snow, the crunch, the mountain.
Crunching through the snow and the snow and the mountain and the trees. Just leave out all the people. Can I just where's the book where you get like snowed into a cabin, you've got all the food, snacks, and you're all alone. You don't have to deal with people at all. You have all the wine and all the books. Like, where's that one?
I feel like that's a sapphic romance.
Where's
that's the one where
whereas alone, you're alone.
Yeah.
Remember, you're alone. There's no people.
Oh, see, I thought it was like two best friends, whatever, go.
Nobody,
and then,
no people.
Why? Are you trying to
Just
go on a
your books
vacation?
and snacks.
Okay, well, because we do feel this way about the book, because I don't know if Cuddle is really getting as much of the that good story that's hidden deep within Credence. What would you say is like a favorite part? Like what speaks that to you, Purple?
Any time where she was dealing with her actual feelings about her parents. We know I have issues with my parents. I get it. I've got mommy and daddy issues. Leave me alone.
Yeah, we have named like 3 episodes mommy issues now. So
yeah, but you know what? At least I have uncle issues. Okay.
Hey, she doesn't have them either. Sounds like her and her uncle get along just fine.
I just would it really have killed Penelope to just make them like a family friend? Like what?
Yes.
If you just made them family friends, that clears up so much for me. Family friends, still connected, but not,
Yeah. Picking the groomer dynamic and the quasi-incest dynamic, you're being greedy. Pick one. I'm sorry. You have to pick one.
God,
but yeah, there is a lot
stuff
that's handled emotionally very well.
So, shame on you, Jake. Shame. And he is fully aware in the book of how horrible his decision is because he says it. He says it several times.
Yeah. If I were a worse man, and then it proceeds to be that worse man. Man has no self-control.
I think at one point he even says that like he equates her to payment.
Yeah.
Like what? what? No, we don't. He's like trying to talk himself out of it. Here on page 69.
Nice.
Page 69, he's talking to himself and he's like, I'm not sure where the hell my mind is going, but it's not right. She's my responsibility, not my opportunity for payback. Not to mention, she's quiet, boring, and a little pathetic. I can't torture someone who won't fight back. What?
The audacity.
He really be like, she's pathetic. I should fuck her. Like,
damn, dude, that's crazy. She's a little pathetic. Damn, bro, she's 17.
I see. I'm actually okay with Noah. I wish they would have gotten together. Sort of.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have killed you. Like every single time she was like, Noah would be the good choice for me. And you're like, yes. And she's no,
so
I'll take
the
most fucked up one of the three.
I'm not going to make that choice.
No, I'm going to take the worst possible option. Dude. Okay, my thing is, I do have a favorite part, but this is going to be controversial, so I'm very sorry in advance. And I promise I'm not saying this to be like an edgelord. But you know that I love romance. I love those kind of things. And I'm not defending these two characters. I'm not defending their choices. I think they fucked up a lot. But at the same time, like this story of who her parents were, both of those two characters are more interesting than any of the other ones included in the book combined to me. Like the way that they're so enamored with each other. And again, obviously, I don't think that like, obviously these two people should not have had children. They clearly neglect their only child. Very, they use money as like a, here you have a nanny basically. And, that's going to be your life and your source of emotional, whatever. But the way that like they're described and their adoration of each other and the projects they do together and them dying together in that way, like in the way that, like, can you imagine the type of love you have to have for somebody when they're like, hey, I'm dying of cancer and I will not make it through the year. And they're like, I'll just die with you. Because they can't even stand the idea of being away from you for like that's, again, not great because you have a child and you have a physical embodiment of that person that you still have to take care of and love. And they're still a minor. So, maybe at least if you're going to kill yourself, leave a note. But, it's just their story. They were like, here's a little taste of like who these two people are to each other. And I was like, wait, like, where's their book? Like, okay, like that's like a type of like love that I really enjoy reading. That's Reese and Feyre. That's every couple in any type of media that has that fated bond or whatever. So it's like, you don't really often see that from humans. And I really wanted to know more about them specifically, but I was not allowed to.
I don't disagree. I thought they were very interesting. I really was kind of shocked and pained whenever they were celebrating and she said congratulations. They just acted like she wasn't there.
Yeah.
But because I was wondering, I'm like, bitch, how does that even make sense? How does that, how do they ignore you? Yeah. Every kid feels like they're ignored. What do you mean? And then she gave us the answer and I was like, ew.
Yeah. But at the same time, I do feel like it's a little unrealistic in a way. Like obviously neglectful parents like exist, but I feel like it's rare to have that kind of like love and adoration for this person. And then you made a life with them. So that's half of them right there. Like that's half of that person that you love beyond anything else. And you're like not even interested in saying hello. That part doesn't always make sense because it wasn't ever like a complete shunning. Like you have to go live at like this school, boarding school. Like there would be a lot more ways, I think, to make it a little bit more like realistic that they were quote unquote trying to separate themselves in some way.
Right.
But the fact she's like there in the house all the time, like it doesn't always play out as realistic in a way. It'd be one thing if like they showed a scene of the mom getting her a birthday gift or something and like, I don't know, she's allergic to some type of fucking thing and then like they get over that because they don't know, but like her nanny knows. Like that would have been a level of believable neglect to me. Whereas in the book, it always came off as like truly she's invisible. And I just don't see how that would exist with their relationship dynamic specifically. But either way, they were interesting to me.
I can see where you would get that. I was very much in the mind of Tiernan with the parent relationship thing. So like, I can't say I want to know more because I just want them to stop being terrible.
Yeah.
But any time that she's going through this trauma that she has experienced and she's piecing it apart and she's trying to figure out how she feels about everything and who she is and what this makes her as far as, where she stands in the world and was she beloved by her parents and does that make her less than? All of those tumultuous feelings. I think that is the good part of this book. There were so many points that I was going back through my notes so many times where she makes an offhanded comment or thought a lot of times in this case. And I'm like, damn, trauma's a bitch. Like, I get it. I so get it. Takes me right back to whenever I was a teenager, like way back in ye olden days. But, being a teenager sucks and it's rough.
Yeah.
Some people have it worse than others, but everybody has a hard time as a teenager. And, I went through some really big heartbreaking shit and the feelings of like being alone and that nobody cares about you and all of that fun stuff. It's so accurate. Thought processes that she has, and it breaks my heart to read it. So sometimes they got to like, oh, and by the way, I'm gonna go fuck my uncle, and I'm like, that doesn't help you.
Yeah.
go back to processing. And then she's like, no, I don't think I'm gonna make a healthy choice. Let's go fuck my uncle. I'm like, God damn it.
See, isn't that, I mean, I don't want to say realistic in the way because of the very particular circumstance that came about to have these characters in a building together. But at the same time, like, I think
the self-destruction is also accurate.
That, and also, like, because I was starting to think of, some general topics that we go over, and I know I'm jumping ahead of here a little bit, but when I was thinking about if there's any characters I identify with, I was thinking to myself, like, I was like, you say funny answer, this, whatever. But I was like, damn, I really relate to Tiernan having that level of having trauma, to having those feelings, right, of being alone, or that you're not truly living, you're worthless, like any low self-esteem thought you could have, and then also seeing all of the men in her life and all of the authority figures in her life take advantage of that fact.
Yeah.
And that's very relatable and very sad.
They do so much. And I'm like, God damn it, leave this girl alone.
Yeah, like she's clearly struggling in just day-to-day life for a plethora of reasons, right? Like she's, even though she's had a life where she doesn't have to worry about certain things, like she didn't have to worry about where her next meal is coming from, or like, she has money. So a lot of life problems have been alleviated, thankfully for her. But she clearly has issues on relationships, what they're supposed to look like, what your relationship with the caretaker looks like every single thing in her life is she has a very skewed view of, and it even though this is a fantasy novel and whatnot, it is hard to watch someone that age. Like, she starts off 17. I know she gets to 18 at some point during the story. But
she's like a couple months shy or something.
Yeah. So it's like, even just to see her at that point, and again, just watch man after man take advantage of that. I'm like, God damn it. I can't even be free in my books.
Ew.
I also kind of identified with her too. Not kind of. I absolutely did.
Oh my god, all three of us identify with the character. And it's hold on. All three of us identify with the same character. And it just so happens to be the teenager who is fucking fucked up by trauma and fucks her uncle and her cousin.
I didn't say I identified with that.
What does that say?
Not cut that last part.
Yeah, you guys are both going to very knowingly laugh because I recognized in myself that when I start to get overwhelmed and I don't want to deal with my feelings and I kind of just want to escape that, like, being in my shit, I just dive into a project and I dive into work, and that's what she does. And I'm like, oh, girl, that's me. she's picking up the panels and nailing shit to a building. And I'm like, yeah, wait a minute.
Oh, fun. You're like, oh, no.
I do that too. Me with 17 jobs. So that okay, Penelope, you get it so many ways. I want to read another book by Penelope because I can't help but feel like she's a wonderful author, but I just can't get around the quasi incest. I just can't. And the grooming and the disrespect and the not saying, like, not being okay with the word no. Just consistently like, well, but come on, no, but come on. But she said no. No, I don't think that she should have said no, because I think she was pushing her luck several times, because I'm like, but you say you want it, but why did you say no? Because you just wanted to
because
say,
she's
like,
17?
It didn't make sense.
Because she's 17.
And that's when the age part comes into play, because I'm like, well, of course, because you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Or what you want, because we're 17.
That's why you're
luckily
not...
these old men are around to show her exactly what she wants the whole time.
So here's what I would have liked. I would have liked for them to be family friends. I would have liked Jake to be the kind of sort of not really father figure that she was needing. Like, that would have been a lot better. And I really would have liked her to have to choose between Noah and
Caleb.
Wow.
Wow.
Damn.
But I really...
she ends up...
I really would have liked for them in that part where they're in the woods to be a bigger section. Because they said so many times, they called so much attention to the nature. It's so dangerous. We have to walk around with our guns. And he's like, Jake says, you don't know how to do things like... So make it a conflict. You're identifying a conflict in the plot, but then you're not using that conflict. And I think that would have been, for me, a more compelling angle to the story of forced proximity. You could have gone that direction. They went, maybe Caleb didn't come back right away when he tries to rape her on the car.
Yeah.
Lion. Give me some sort of a predator that attacks somebody at some point. Maybe it's just trying to be a giant house cat and it's like clawing at her glass door. Like, that's still a thing. Like,
it would have been more, because it feels like they use this setting only for their own benefit, in the sense of like, oh my God, we all can't leave this cabin. Oh my God, we're going to be here for like months. We're going to be so close and this. But then they never really show the characters being inconvenienced in any way by the remote aspect of where they live. Like, they're living in an area, they have to burn trash. Like, they do not have trash pickup. Like, it's very remote, like, location, and they do bring up animals and whatnot. And it's never.
Why do they still have power? Why do they still have power in the middle of winter?
Generators.
I understand, but that could have been an amazing piece of conflict to add to it. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there's kind of like what you're saying, is that there's so many other ways that she could have changed the story just a little bit, and it would have made a lot more impact, as opposed, and could have been, and this might be a little, I don't know, but this is where I feel like we get the difference between like an ACOTAR book and like, no, not contemporary, but like the fluffy stuff. Like, it's not really, like, there's no plot. It's just sex. It's scene to sex, scene to sex, scene to sex.
Sure.
Scene.
Yeah.
Versus like an actual novel that just so happens to have really good sex in it. And I feel like she could have made it the really good novel with really good sex.
Yeah.
But instead, because of the way that she made those decisions, it kind of went the other direction for me, and just was more, when's the next sex scene?
Sure. Yeah, I think
And
this
like,
book had the
come on.
potential for being like, I mean, honestly, it had the potential for being at least like a 4, but it's nowhere where it stands as of now. I think with some of the improvements that we've talked about, I would have been like more like, oh, this is like a, I don't want to use this term, but like a more like a real book. Like it would have been more.
That's
like
what
a
I'm saying is I
story.
don't know how to word that, but I think that's this is a really good example of a book that's on the fence.
Yeah.
And could go either direction. But I just think they needed plot choices to push it to the more serious novel versus the more raunchy erotica.
It wouldn't be too far off for sure. Yeah, it's definitely like if someone came up to me and was like, I want a really good book, I love romance, this, blah, blah, I would not go for something like this. I would say,
right.
Akatar, Touch of Darkness. I would go for something a little bit more like plot heavy like that, but Credence would be more like, I don't really have many reading red flags and I want to watch people do the thing.
It's a Christmas book.
Okay, here you go, buddy. like that's kind of where this book falls for me. And I'm the same way. I like a plot with like a romance subplot almost. I don't even mind a full-on romance as long as there's enough world around it for it to be juicy. Like I love like a complex world that includes those elements, And it was really close. That's the frustrating part with this book is it's really like very simple changes. We're not asking you to change the setting. We're asking you to maybe change one character just not being related like in that way, like a family friend or something like that would be fine. Like you can keep the same exact archetype of character. You can keep the same thing. I would have preferred if the story happened when she turned 18 and not like a few months earlier, because that adds to the weirdness for me personally, but they had to do that with this whole like legal custody thing. I don't think we needed that. I don't know if we needed that.
Maybe she just turned 18 and then they kicked her out of her house and she has to get shit set up on her own, so she's got to crash there for a couple of months.
Yeah, something.
Like that would have been fine. Like just turned 18, just graduated high school and needs to crash for a little bit before goes to college.
Yeah. Like just something, or even make it even more dark, dude. The parents, they do their thing on her 18th birthday, like fuck her up emotionally and then put that into the story and then she's having a spiral like a moment. Like
you're hurting me.
But wouldn't that be crazy? I'd be like, whoa, what the fuck? Like they did what? And they didn't even leave a note? Like that would be insane.
It's fine. I'm fine. It's fake parents. Listen, the emotional gravity that this book has, whenever you take out the sex and like the smutty part, that's why I say it's like two different books smushed into one. If you take it as the serious book with the weight and the trauma and all of that, it's so spicy. Like the feelings are so spicy and it's complex and it's deep and it hurts my heart. And I cried multiple times when I read this and I get it and it makes me feel so many things. I was a little offended about it though, because all of the trigger warning stuff was like, hey, we're going to fuck our uncle. And I'm like, that's not what triggered me.
Sure.
Like, I was kind of confused because I had no idea that's what was in it. But, like, fine. But, like, it drudged up stuff from my past and it made me think about things. And I was kind of like, well, I wasn't ready to feel my feelings today. No. I was like, fuck you. That's not very nice.
Sure.
I had one other thing I wanted to mention. In our scripture on page 8, there's one other way that I very deeply identified with Tiernan. And that's whenever the scripture says, shelves filled with books I never finished reading, a desk piled with pretty journals I liked buying but hardly wrote in. I feel a little called out.
Sure.
I feel a little attacked.
Yeah.
And
it's not like a neurodivergent thing.
It's gotta be, right?
I'm just saying. You just didn't have to come at me that hard.
Sure.
This was page 8 for Christ's sake.
I did like that when she went back to her room, she's like, this is not me. None of this is me. And she no longer identified with that previous version of herself. So, I mean, there is a lot of growth in it, and that's great. I just wish that they didn't have to fuck her to get it to work. Because what had happened for me is the sex became very transactional. It became for them. And for her, it was not transactional because she
was 17.
Misunderstood the boundaries between pleasure and love. So many times, and this is what I tagged more than anything else, was like, for example, on page 340, and this is just one example of it being blindingly clear that she has no idea what's going on. He made love to me. He kissed me so much. Because apparently, when he kisses you, because apparently when he kisses you and you're having sex, that is what making love is. What?
Isn't that with the same person who literally had not spoken a single word to her this whole entire time?
But it's not even the first time that she says that.
Yeah.
Or whenever he is all upset about his dead ex-girlfriend or some shit, and she's in the bathroom and she's like, pretend that I'm her, make love to her. Like,
no.
That was so fucked up.
Like,
red flag.
Oh my God. But she does it again and again and again.
Because
she throughout the entire book has no idea where that boundary is or how to tell the difference between love and pleasure. And they take full advantage of that. Even Noah's the same way, because he was like, I was going to make love to you, you know. And I'm like, that is the weirdest thing to say to her. Why would you even, you could have just said, I would be gentle, and that would be better.
Yeah.
I would have been gentle,
He's
you know,
emotionally
and
manipulating her a little bit there.
Exactly.
Yay, manipulation. Don't we love it?
Oh, God. And just, I hated that. But I'll tell you what, my favorite sex scene, because it did have really good sex writing.
Sure.
So if we can just take have we talked about all of the meaty part yet? Like we're good with the meat, with the now we can go back on to dessert.
Yes.
I was wondering where you were going with that. I'm like, technically I'm about to talk about the meat, but okay.
We put our critical lens on. Now we're taking that off. The party glasses are on, okay?
Right.
All right.
Glasses.
So from now on, I'm going to ignore the fact that they are sort of not really at all related. The fucking couch.
Oh, God. That was my favorite.
Is that the first scene with her, Caleb, and Noah? Is that the one you're talking about? Yeah.
When Dad walked in and they didn't actually get started.
Yeah.
God damn, that was good.
Yeah. I was like, oh, hold on. That was crazy.
You know, I feel like most of us, because that was very high school teenager, like sexy sleepover kind of like older brothers of your friend. You know what I mean? It was very that. And I feel like because that was so close to a realistic moment that I'm sure a lot of people have had in high school ages, I was like, okay.
All right.
When Jake was there, and I'm like, no, go away.
Yeah, it was such a good setup. It was so like, we're teens, we're caught up in the moment, like we're exploring like body, like it had all of those fucking elements.
That was probably the least problematic sex that she could have had.
Yeah. And then you know, of course her step uncle has to ruin it and then like spanks her, which is like a weird I like that as a reader. I'm not against spanking as a concept, but just like that scene, what?
I was
it felt very forced, like he was very jealous, and like it's not cute, it's gross.
Yeah, the whole time I was like, okay, she's starting off like a virgin, whatever, not a trope we like, but you know what, she's young, like fine, I'll just accept it, I'll tolerate it.
Right.
So I kept wondering, almost like, who's going to be the first one? What's going to happen? And this scene with like Noah and Caleb is happening. And I was like, I wonder if they'll even go all the way. I wonder what like this will happen. And then, of course, it ends in that way. And my least favorite sex scene is probably like when she actually loses her virginity.
In the car, right?
Yeah, in the car. In the car. I was
That is so terrible.
in
No,
the
I'm
car.
sorry. You
The
The
cannot
only
beat
good
the
part was
shower.
that the only
When-
good
yeah.
part was that there was so much snow.
Yeah,
Oh, I said your name. I'm sorry.
that's okay.
I'm
Oh.
sorry. I'm
Don't worry
sorry,
about it.
future blue. Please don't be
It's
mad at me.
okay. Yeah, that was my least favorite, is her actually losing her virginity. And I like, and you know, she was very like, I'm glad it was you. And I was like, are we? Are we glad it's you?
Oh,
I guess it's fine.
I was mad. I was mad they stopped playing in the snow. I was like, no, you need to you leave her alone. There is snow involved.
Yeah.
We are having fun. Leave it be.
I did like the scenes with him though, with the shower, like you were mentioning. I was into
Noah.
that. Oh, I
Not
thought
Jake.
the Jake ones. Some of the Jake
the
scenes
Jake
for me
one was-
were tolerable. And I liked the
the-
ones in the shower until Tiernan was like,
Yeah,
make love to your dead lover through me.
that's the Jake scene in the
Don't
shower.
do that. Don't do that,
Oh my
bro.
God.
I
I
don't
feel like
even
that's-
understand how, as an adult, like that can happen to you. Like the person, like you're having sex with someone, and that's like what they say. Like, that's a full stop. What the fuck did you just?
Listen, we were not always this okay with ourselves.
I know,
We
but
were
that's
not always this
bottom.
happy.
Listen, as Jake, as a grown ass man,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta stop that for like that
Yeah,
is
well, no, he has no
boner
excuse. I'm saying
killer.
her.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Well,
no,
no.
she's low self-esteem, like trying to hold herself up to this
Yeah.
ideal of this woman that she's never met, never will meet, obviously. Like she's like, well, does he like me as much as he likes this person? Like there's a lot of insecurity and comparison and a lot of
immature.
exactly.
No, she's 17.
Even the way she
I
brings it up,
know.
right? You can have those conversations. I don't think it's necessarily like if you had a conversation, you were dating someone who had a partner who had passed or just had that kind of like trauma in their life.
Right.
I think it'd be okay to ask about that or maybe like ask for reassurance on certain occasions. I don't think that's necessarily, depending on how all that goes about, a problem. But yeah, using that as part of your intimate life of like, just pretend that I'm them. Queen, what?
Okay,
Get out of there.
but I have to know when they
Mhm.
finally did have the threesome. What did you think about that?
Could you pull up a scripture page for me, please?
I didn't tag it.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
didn't tag any good things. The only things I tagged
I
were bad
didn't say
things.
any good things.
Yeah, the with Noah and Caleb.
Yeah, in the bedroom.
Yeah, I was into it. I was like, okay. You know, I still don't know how I feel about Caleb as a person, but I liked her with Noah, so I was like, okay, like that's fine. And I think like the two of them together in that scene, yeah, it's like it's still kind of giving. I just almost wish that scene had happened like that first time on the couch. Like,
yeah.
that like if it had occurred then, I'd be like even more like crazy about it. But I did like it. I was kind of surprised we never got like all three of them in one type of situation.
Yeah,
Jake and-
I thought that was gonna be where it went, where everybody like
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
like
kinda what I thought was
everybody
gonna
at the
happen.
same time, like in front of the fire. They've got, lots of room for activities. And
Exactly.
I was actually really kind of upset and irritated that they had the main conflict of the book was with other people. I was like, wait,
Sure.
well, how is this the main conflict of the book? Like the main active one, because obviously the big one is her trauma, but the main active conflict is with other people in a book that's about being alone in forced proximity in a cabin
Yeah.
in the mountains. How is other people
Still the
main
deciding
problem?
factor with your conflict. Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I feel like if we had just nixed that entire subplot it would have been a lot more cohesive. And I
Mhm.
feel like that could have given us a better time to have spicy scenes that we deserved, like where everybody got it on with the space because they have activity time.
Yeah, I was actually very surprised, yeah, that they didn't even put that in at all. I was like, not even like really like a hint of it, like the Caleb Noah thing, yes, but nothing really related with like Jake being in there. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I guess that's separate. Honestly, what surprised me the most about the whole thing is that it wasn't a why choose. Like, I was very confused at the point where she was like,
I mean, it kind of was.
I have feelings for Caleb, and I'm not going to be with anyone else ever again because it makes Caleb angry. I was like I maybe I just wasn't picking up on those cues in the text, but I was genuinely surprised. Like, I kind of thought it was going to be this why choose or something, or
Right.
at the very least that like this, like, okay, then the snow has melted, she moves on, and that's the end of the book, and everyone has grown in some way because of it, and they laugh at family get-togethers in the future, as odd as those are. That's what I assumed one of two choices. So when she started to have these like very real like feelings for Caleb and like shutting the other two out, and like it was very weird.
Define real feelings, because
what she thinks is very real at 18 years old.
17.
Well, she's 18 when she starts to fall in love with him. So she's really going through.
At least she waited for that.
At least. Tiernan did not beat teen pregnancy. That's crazy. She didn't beat it. But yeah, it was out of left field for me. Did you guys feel the same way, or were you kind of picking up that that's like who the initial, like the end game?
I thought it was gonna be Noah.
I thought it was going to be Noah.
Well, Jake and then Noah. And then I was like, no way, it's going to be Caleb. And I was like, fuck, it's going to be Caleb. God damn it.
Yeah, not so charming to me.
No.
Did not.
I was kind of okay with Jake. But I'm not 17, so.
Sure.
Where I would be interested in Jake. It's very different.
Mm-hmm.
But, because I'm older. I want an older man. I don't want to.
I don't want
a little boy.
Young 20s something. Yeah.
Ew,
not
gross.
My favorite.
Couldn't be me.
Yeah.
But
not at this
for
stage
her,
of my life. Mm-hmm.
And every time he opened his mouth, though, I was like, just stop being problematic. Just quit.
Well, who was your least favorite character then?
Caleb.
Caleb? Okay.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that it's Caleb for me too. Like, there are obviously like problems with the other characters, but like he's not good. Like, even the first impression of them, where he's like, he just sees this random girl in their house and it's like, I'm gonna make out with her, and she's like clearly not into it. Like, she's kind of like, like, this is a stranger. And he does not feel weird about the fact when Noah's like, hey, by the way, like, that's the step cousin you just met for the first time. And Caleb's like, all right, like, cool. I think we should have probably had, well, I know we really couldn't have had a conversation about it considering he's mute for 80% of the book. But, this seems like maybe I would feel a little remorse, maybe a little guilt. I don't know.
Rise?
Just a little, just anything at all, I guess. And then, yeah, he has that. I mean, the book leads you to believe, I obviously assumed because he's one of the main three casts that, like, he didn't actually hurt that girl and, like, cause her nose to bleed when they were, like, under the waterfall or whatever, the whole scene with Cece and all that. But they let me believe that for a long time. So I was like, okay, that's weird as well. And then, yeah, the fact that he's, like, it destroys shit. He, like, is, like, throwing, like, food at her at one point. Like, it's just very immature. And then their sex scene, too, with the belt, with the first time they integrate, like, the belt that he had, like, gifted her, and then she was like, this is not pleasure, like, you're taking, no, like, this is a problem. Like, everything about their relationship dynamic is, like, very bad and problematic. And obviously he's said the stunted emotional maturity. I don't think this man should be intimate with anyone. He's, like, at the level of, like, a 4-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, it's very hard to convince me that that's, like, the end game, end all be all. By the end of the story, he's ready to be a dad. He's ready to be a father of his own. Like, can he go to a little bit of therapy? Just like a little, like, as a treat.
Like a little, all that money, and you can't buy fucking therapy.
You can't buy common sense. You can't buy therapy. You can't buy birth control, I guess.
Hate
then
to
like the
see
whole
it.
like, did he get this other girl pregnant? Like subplot that was happening at the end.
Yeah,
like,
it was weird.
that was weird. Him like throwing out her birth control pills at one point, very weird. Like just why?
And she
Why?
recognizes that it's not fair. She recognizes that she's being essentially punished for not, because it's not an inability.
Yeah,
It's that he doesn't want to.
right.
And she tries to hold out, sort of, that, you know, I deserve better. And then she
Never mind.
It's a question. I deserve better?
Yes, thing. Yeah.
Let's
I don't know.
crowdsource this and circle back.
I just
Yeah.
really had much higher hopes for Noah. And I don't know. It's the only character that I really wanted her to have sex with.
It was the only one that seemed like the two were on the same level. They communicated. They were similar in
tried.
age. Like it would be harder to like be, you know, super problematic, though obviously it's still not great.
Still not great.
Yeah.
Still not great, but
Still
that's
not
okay.
great. But at
I
least
feel like
a
you
little
can
bit
work
more
with it.
even. Yeah, I can work with it. Exactly. Yeah, he was pretty much the only one that I was like, okay, I'm in.
And how old was Pharaoh?
How old is Reese?
Just gonna lay this right here.
Yeah. No, it's different because no, yeah, it becomes weirder and weirder. At least with like the Fae stuff and fantasy worlds, you can almost kind of you could separate. It's so out there, it's so unrealistic, and magic and this and your emotional maturity stunts at this. Like at least that's fine. But if you are gonna place a story in reality and then put those like age marks, and again, at least start the character at 18. There's really no benefit from this story for her starting off at 17 and then like turning 18 in a few months. There's just not,
other than it just being a plot device to get her there.
Yeah, like, and we could have found another way.
Yeah.
We could have at least had her be the age, like the normal like age that, you know, at least as a culture, as American culture, we have decided that is the age that you are an adult. Okay, that's fine. Everything from that, I'd be like, oh, it's a little questionable, but like, it's fine. She's an adult. She's making her own choices, whatever. But this shit starts a little too early. Little too early for me. But yeah, Noah's probably one of the better people. But also, can we talk about, because I was like trying to think about a favorite character just now. And I feel like, yeah, Noah's probably the best of the boys, hypothetically. The only person that's ever cared about her is her assistant. Yeah, what was her name? Mirai?
I don't know.
I don't know how to say it, but
Lady.
Maybe it was Mary.
Yeah, she was something great. She was fantastic. She was great. Actually gave a shit about her. Like she was good. How come though, like no one in this town was good? Like
well,
I'm fine
have
with
you
like
met
accepting
people?
Sure, but like people have redeemable qualities. Like everyone in town that you would meet would be the fucking worst. Cece, trash. Terrence, Holcomb, and all his little friends, trash. Like everyone was like, there's no one. Even the person who Jake's seeing at the beginning implied they're trash. Like everyone's trash. There's not one redeemable person in this whole fucking town that's like just a normal person that like they have, because they go to town a couple times. They get food, they go to pharmacies, they do whatever. I'm like, damn, she can't have like a homie. She can't have like a friend.
What I want to know is why nobody in the town thought them fucking her was weird.
No, they're into it. They're like, okay.
They were all just like, oh, before they. And I'm like, what kind of backwoods town is this? It's expected that they're gonna have sex with their cousin.
Yeah,
that's weird. That's weird.
Because there's no way they went up to everyone in town. They're like, don't worry. Okay, so like me and her dad are half brothers. Okay, so this is more of like, I'm her step uncle. Okay, right? And then these are her cousins. She's never met them or Dana. Like, there's no way. Like granted, I'm sure some people would turn a blind eye just because that's human nature. But I'm sure some of them would be like, wait, you have a minor in your home. Wait, well, hold on. What's the situation again? Like, I don't.
There was plenty of times where they were getting a little close in public, and I'm like, nobody's saying anything. That's kind of weird.
Where's the CPS
Keep
call?
it in the family. Like, love it. Like, yeah, everyone was totally fine with that happening and them being all on each other and like dancing together. And yeah, we should have probably talked about that. But again, this town is somehow an amalgamation of the worst people ever. And everyone sucks. Every single person, apparently, is what I'm led to believe. But yeah, at least she had one person that actually gave a shit about her who was not in the book most of the time because she couldn't, because anyone that cared about her wouldn't let her be there.
Yeah, that's fucking true.
Mm-hmm. So I guess that's just how it is. I guess she
And
wins.
she got with Jake.
Why?
I don't know. That came out of left field.
Because
and
does she
threw me.
know?
Ooh,
Does she
that's a
know?
good question. Does
that-
she know?
Because I don't think that she would. For the character that she is, I do not think she's the type of character that would be like, oh yeah, no, you slept with a minor in your care. Well, what if you slept with me instead? Like that's a crazy jump. Like, because that's like
Yeah.
almost like her emotional. Like she's kind of adopted her in a way of like, that's my daughter. Like if she wanted me right now to take care of her, like I would do
Yeah.
it. Like she's been her caretaker her entire life, and they have this half kind of I'm your mom but not your mom.
Well, yeah, because Jake was like father figure. So they just belong together, right?
Like there's not anybody else. Like that's so weird. And like the fact that like why did they have a baby in the end? Why did Tiernan and Caleb have a little one? Why did they do that?
To sell books.
To sell books.
I don't need an epilogue. I'm sorry. For some couples, I don't need an epilogue. I don't need to see you happy like a year later with like a baby or like basically still a teenager. Caleb just started talking like 3 months ago. No,
How's his vocabulary?
But yeah.
I will say it would have been better if he was medically mute and then I really liked the way that she found what he wrote in the books.
Yeah.
That was cute. It just needed to be that he can't talk.
Uh-huh.
And then it would have been amazing.
Yeah.
But
give
if
me
it's
something
that
like that.
he won't talk, and then it was rude.
Uh-huh. And we
I
never
feel like
really
they
talked about it.
Yeah. They could have done so much with that, with those interactions. There's so much could have been done. Like you can't just, oh, well, he stared at me for 5 seconds and I'm going to think these 10 things and they're all correct.
Uh-huh.
No, that's not how people work.
Yeah,
honey.
I mean, I see my husband in the kitchen, and I'm just like, brownies? No, not.
What are you thinking? God, if there's only some way I could find out. Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's just sitting there thinking about like football or something.
It seems like she's like projecting this person of who she wants Caleb to be onto him versus looking at his actual choices and actions. And then using that, which again, you're a child. So yeah, fair enough.
No, I disagree. I think she sees his actions and she says, no, that's wrong. But I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I can see that.
Yeah. Because she's like, this is stupid. Oh, well.
But I love him. Aw.
I think I love him.
Yeah.
If I can fix him, then maybe I can fix myself.
Yeah.
Ouch. Thank you.
I almost feel like in a way it's let me know if I'm coming out of left field with this.
Fix him.
Well, yes. But I also feel like it's also like, again, tell me if I'm coming out of left field. But I almost feel like she had to pick this person of the group that maybe had the most like trauma. Obviously, Jake's been through stuff. Noah's been through stuff. Caleb obviously has this horrific event happen to him as a child. We really don't get to hear a lot more about what happens early childhood, after that, like whatnot. I almost feel like she had to like find the person with the most trauma. Like that attracted her specifically because now I'm not saying Tiernan didn't go through anything. She obviously suffered neglect and like things obviously occurred. But that's not really to someone whose traumas revolve like I almost fucking died at 4. Like I was like this happened to me and this happened to me and like just a level of abuse that Tiernan would not have been familiar with. It gives a little like I don't know, yeah, like savior kind of energy or like I have these problems, but they're just at this level and you're looking for someone who has like this set of issues, I guess I should say. Like not those specific traumas,
You're
but just
speaking out of trauma bond.
Yeah. Like almost to justify your own trauma. If you hold space for them and the severity that they've gone through And then he's like, well, what happened to you? And then she's like, my parents never talked to me. And he's like, you had parents? like it's just like a level that I feel like she almost can get this validation through him because they're going to hold space for each other. You know? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
That's really the only reason I feel like she picked him. I feel like she's like, you know what? Sure. I love a project. You know?
Yay!
Can you also, you've been through a lot. Could you also validate that I've been through a lot and I deserve to feel sad too? Like, girl, can that come from you? Can you feel sorry for the fact that bad things happen to you and other people? Like, can you just hold that feeling? Maybe?
I also think that she's not really attracted to them.
Sure.
I think she's touch starved.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Easy. Yeah.
But all of her attraction comes whenever she touches them. And they're like nice when they touch her. They're like, oh, we're just, here you go. Tiny bits of affection. And she's like, oh my God.
Yeah, I've been starving for this for so long.
And that's so obvious. And I think they even say that at one point where, you know, she's talking to Noah and I forget now where it was, but he tells her he just needed affection from Jake. So they even see it.
Mm-hmm.
They just take advantage of it.
Yeah, the type of affection she needed was not sexual, but that's what they were gonna provide.
Yay!
Yay!
We're a full service here.
Oh.
I hate that,
dude. It's a lot.
So we've got a lot of problems in here.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of thoughts. We've got a lot of thoughts.
So many.
And I think we pretty much all are agreeing in unison that we need more from the author that's not uncle fucking.
I don't know if it was supposed to be, you know. So if Miss Douglas was attempting to write wispy smut, then great.
You did it.
Cool. Good job.
You also ripped out my heart. Thank you.
But if you were trying to, you know, speak truths about trauma and trauma bonds and all that stuff, I just okay.
Right. I would be interested in reading more from the author, just on the basis of, because I don't think that, you know, I'm not sitting here like, oh, they don't know how to write or they don't know how to do this. I do think there are good things, but I wish it was maybe more intentional or something. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what else they have made, and I think that would that would give me more of a clear, definitive opinion on her work as a whole, because it's maybe not the best first impression, but I'm willing to, because I see some marks that I like, I'm willing to go through some more, you know?
Yeah. So, who would you most like to lecture?
Tiernan.
Yeah.
Jake.
All of them.
Those two.
Who would you most want to lecture? One person. You can only lecture one. Just
Jake.
one.
Jake.
Yeah.
Uncle Jake. Oh God, I hate that part.
Yeah. I'm tied between the two of them too. I would want to lecture Tiernan, but I also feel like when you're that age, you have to go through certain things. Like, those are lessons. And she's a teenager and she's stubborn. She's not, like, if I was like, hey, maybe not good, she would just do the thing. Like, it wouldn't maybe hold the same weight, you know, which is unfortunate, but been there. And then you just get to look back a couple of years later and then be like, damn, I'm so embarrassed that I went through this. And, you know, but I think that at a certain level, most people have to learn their lessons the hard way. But Jake knew better.
Jake knew better.
He knew better. The whole damn time he knew better. She didn't know better.
I think the person I would want to lecture the most is the assistant lady.
Really? For, like, letting her go in the first place, or?
Yep. For letting her go in the first place. And for not pushing her to stay with her. You know, the person that she knows and she's, you know, spent time with. And if getting away out of the house was the big thing, then they could have taken a fucking vacation.
It is weird to me that they didn't have a better relationship when she was
they
growing
couldn't.
up.
They couldn't have, because then she would not have been at the cabin to make this book.
Right, but if that's like the only person who's buying you gifts and giving you attention and you are attention starved, I just don't understand why young, like school-aged child Tiernan wouldn't have clung to that. I guess she would have.
Yeah,
right?
Even from that early age, though, she probably more required like a male validation. Could be. That's really the only other thing, you know?
I don't know. I just feel like that's a plot hole.
Yeah.
Well,
They
you know, there's a
closer.
lot of holes.
It should have been,
God.
yeah, it should have been more of a conversation when like they're discussing like what's gonna happen next, because she was like, "You could stay with me if you want," and Tiernan's like, I'm gonna go live on a mountain or whatever the fuck. Like that probably.
It's 3 men, no big deal.
Maybe we needed a little bit more of a conversation around that, or maybe more, I don't know, something. But also, you know, maybe she was like, "Oh, okay, so I'll go send you with your uncle and your cousins. I mean, they're your family. I mean, what could go wrong?" And then this book came out.
Well, I don't believe there's another one or will be another one, so we don't really have anything for predictions. I do want to know what you think about just like you predict reading another book by the author. What do you think? Is it going to be Uncle Fucker? Or is it going to be better?
I think it'll be better.
Know. It has the potential to be better or worse, really.
I mean, or the same.
Or more of the same, exactly.
Yeah, maybe Penelope's just got a thing for.
Listen, maybe we need to call her uncle and make sure everything is okay.
That is a thing. How do you write this and then like your family's like, "Oh, what do you do?" You're like, "Oh, I'm an author."
Yeah, honey.
And then they read it, and then your uncle's like, "My name, my cousin's name is Loa.
Oh my god,
his dad's name is Blake."
Thanks, I hate it. I will say one personal thing about this book that I did not like is I can separate, obviously, but I have an actual brother named Jake. So it's like, I mean, obviously Jacob, but then I mostly will call him Jake. So it was just not great for me.
Well, this was her cousin, not her brother.
Her uncle, I guess.
Maybe Jake needs to read
novels.
No, I don't think so.
Here, I got you this for Christmas. It's a Christmas book.
Maybe if you ever ended up having small Tiernans running around, that you don't send them to Jake's house with the book.
This book has to be burned. It has to go in that world. I will tell you, I know there's no other books in this line specifically, but my predictions would be this woman's brain at 25 fully develops. She thinks, "What the fuck has happened to me my entire life?" She has this child. She gets them out. She has a brutal divorce with Caleb. Caleb spirals, lives in the mountains, says he hates women because all these women in his life have abused him. And
this is the perfect setup.
Son.
No, this is the perfect setup for like a serial killer.
Okay. For Caleb?
Yeah. She tries to leave him. He goes berserk and he drowns the kid and he drowns her in that stupid little pool. Right? And then he goes off and yeets himself to the cabin. And then eventually his dude guys, they come try to find him and he shoots him in the face. Like, oh my God. That'd be such a bloody, terrible maybe we need to take a break.
Maybe we need to stop reading a little bit of romance and go to some serial killer stuff. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Serial killer romances.
Yeah. Very unhealthy.
All right. Well, the question on everybody's mind.
I know. Everybody's mind.
Bay of the day.
Bay of the day. The person who moved the plot along the most. I know we were talking before we went, and started recording, and I said it was going to be the mountain because shut up. It's Tiernan.
Sure.
I mean, I gotta give it to my girl. I mean, she literally walked the plot through as best she could.
Yep, with all the tools and resources she had.
Was it pretty?
Best.
No. Did she do a good job? Also, no. But She did it.
She definitely
Sorta.
did it.
She did something. She did at least 3 things.
You know what? She painted some furniture. That's what she did.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her. She really did that.
Yeah.
She helped put out the fire too, right? And she
Yeah.
like did some shit with the motorcycles or
Yeah,
something.
She sat on one.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go. Great job.
Mhm. Because when
She
they couldn't
made-
take
yeah.
advantage of her innocence, they took advantage of her beauty for their own brand.
Yeah, sex sells.
Yeah.
Fuck corporate America.
The fact that it's so self-aware, that scene where Noah's behind her and they're like, oh, like they tell her to pose a certain type of way and they're like, oh, that's our cousin. Like, don't have that happen. And then Noah
Yeah.
starts laughing. I was
Did you
so-
see the photographer? The photographer's like, wait, what?
Wait, what is so funny? I don't get
Yeah,
it.
you guys are
don't-
really comfortable being
Yeah.
close to get. That's okay.
You know what? I think we have all the shots we need.
You know what? We're good. We got it. Back it up. Goofies.
Oh, just imagine the family reunions.
Oh God.
Just
Imagine
giant
your son
orgies.
asking about like how you met their dad, dude. Oh my God. How do you live with that? You have to lie. We met on Tinder. I don't know.
Oh, I Met Your Mother,
Yeah.
season whatever.
Alabama edition. Sorry to every viewer.
No. That's an insult to Alabama.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're
this happened in Colorado.
Listen, they had a little bit of that spirit with them. But before we get too off track, I'll read us out here. Of course, we want to thank you guys for listening. This has been Smutty Scriptures reading Credence by Penelope Douglas all the way through. And next episode, we're diving into Crescent City, right? Yeah, we're
Yeah.
diving into the first half of the first book of Crescent City. So exciting stuff. But if you can't get enough of these episodes, you guys can get some extra ones on Patreon. We're doing one extra a month. We're also having access to Discord, Etsy discounts, codes, bunch of fun over on the Patreon for you guys to find out and just get more blue, cuddle, and purple content, you know? Like, that's what you all want to see. Of course, there's also Instagram, TikTok, we have a Twitter page, all that fun stuff. So if you want to see more from the Smutty Scriptures gang, you know where to find it. But with that being said, church is adjourned.
Then.
Sweet. I don't know.
Proms.
There we go.
Goofy.